Well, hey, everybody. It's a Tuesday, and that means it's Politics Day over here at the Common Good Podcast. Daniel Deitrich joined by Doug Pagitt and Robb Ryerse. And it's also Debate Day. So, you guys excited about Debate Day?
So tasty. Can't wait. And we're going to not only be on now, but in 12 hours, we'll be back to tell you what we thought of it. Which, by the way, you guys remember when we did this last time? I think back in June?
I'm having a little flashback.
Yeah, I had poured myself a drink and had begun to prepare for a second Trump presidency because it was not good.
It was not.
I remember walking inside a couple of times because I was watching, sitting on the back porch as I often do, and I remember walking inside a few times and saying to my wife, "This is not good. This is not going well. This is bad. This is really, really bad." And it was right from the first answer. It was right from the very beginning. Like, oh no.
Absolutely. The walkout. I don't want to drag us back into June. The shuffle out was just like, oh boy, this is not. This is not looking up. But hey, not tonight. Swapped out the quarterback and used that sports analogy for people in September. Brought in the backup quarterback, and all of a sudden the team's fired up. And the new quarterback can run. That happens, right? New quarterbacks come in, all of a sudden a whole new set of skills. They don't fit the scouting report. They're doing all kinds of things. If our politics could be reduced down to NFL football, or probably even college. Do college football have fill-ins that do that though? They're probably
yes.
No. Does it happen?
Several. Yes. Deep bench.
Yeah. I don't spend a lot of time watching kids play games, but college sports.
Hey, how's the weather there in Minneapolis, Minnesota?
Hey, thanks for asking. 83 and sunny today. And you know what that sky really looks like? It looks like an early September day.
Well, listen, my wife is flying tomorrow on September 11th, and though I don't think there'll be many. I don't think there'll be many terrorists originating from Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, so they said from Boston, from that small little airport in Boston. Rumor has it, we don't want to have FBI attention raised here, but back in the day when we were talking about taking over airplanes and so on, the belief was go to the smaller regional airports. They have far less security, far less worry, less cameras, all the rest of that. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure.
Yeah. Dan, you recently flew out of my airport. How you think you could take it over if you had to?
I don't. It was pretty thorough.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. I was at Des Moines Airport this last week, and boy, I just thought, wow, you could really have your way with this place. Only because it's simple, and they're just so kind and nice. Just what could we do to help? Can I carry that bag for you? Kind of treatment at the TSA. But maybe that's just a cover. Maybe that's just Midwestern nice covering for.
Well, you've got pre-check, and Dan clearly doesn't.
Yeah, I'm one of the commoners. I just gotta take off my shoes and get felt up.
Yeah, I haven't had a crotch search in 3 or 4 years.
Oh, I got one the other day. It was intimate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like a little too fast and aggressive really, sort of hurt some things.
Mm-hmm.
Was this in Arkansas?
No, this was out of South Bend. Another small airport.
Mm-hmm. But somebody's looking for a step up. They're looking for a promotion to get themselves over to O'Hare. So they're like they're
trying to find something.
Hey, here's the thing for people. I have a metal hip, sort of like Steve Austin from the mid '70s, the TV character and $6 Million Man. My hip has
I went a completely different Steve Austin on that.
Stone Cold?
Yes. I'm like, what?
My hip has been rebuilt with technology. So I now walk around with a metal hip. So you go through a metal detector.
Mm-hmm.
It always goes off, and it goes off when they wand you right at your hip. So many times, the DNC, it was this way, airports. I'll just say, I have a metal hip. They wave a wand by it, and it goes bing, 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 and they go, okay.
I mean, you could have
it.
You could have a gun holstered on your hip.
But I guess they're just trusting. Well, you're not going to lie about it. Just tell them I have a metal hip, and next thing you know, and sometimes I don't even say it. I just point, and they're like, "Oh, we got you, man. Come on through." And maybe it's because I look like an elderly fella that wouldn't choose or be able to harm anyone with a metal hip. But it's really a trip. I'm like, I don't feel safe. You should touch my hip and make sure there's not like a large sleeve of, I don't know, something that you're not supposed to bring on an airplane. So anyway, back to the debate tonight. Do you want to make some predictions? Do you want to make some predictions for how it's going to go? I've started up a little list of words I think soon to be President Harris is going to use. And some things I think are going to happen. I don't know if you guys have a running start up.
Well, I want to
them tonight afterward, right back here.
I'm curious, Doug. How do you think? I look forward to going through your list of words here in a second. But what do you think her demeanor is going to be? Is she going to come in prosecutorial? Is she going to come in like
lean into the joy?
Is she coming in prosecutorial? Is she coming in like a senator questioning someone in a Senate hearing, or is she coming in with the joy, the laughter, the happiness?
Well, I'll tell you what I hope. I hope she comes in with an attitude of strength and positivity, or strength through positivity. Hope she comes in like, look, I think the presidency is an incredible tool for the American people's lives to be made better in the areas that only the presidency can. And I want to tell you why I'm excited to be the president. I hope she comes in with that kind of attitude and she's like, we're going to get some stuff done. And then the new way forward, here's what it's going to look like. And I hope she spends a whole lot of energy being like, this is why it's great, and no energy on defending anything. She should have that Ronald Reagan 1980s thing, which I saw the clip of that this morning when he said to Jimmy Carter, oh, there you go again, right? She should have that kind of attitude. Like, yeah, you can come at me all you want. But the point is the American people need a president who's going to bop, bop, bop. And if she doesn't pitch the power of the presidency and why she should be in it, I think she's missing a huge opportunity. I think it's what the American people want. Look, since Donald Trump came down that crappy escalator, the American people have seen a presidency that has been either inhabited by or being pursued by old men and someone who wants a negative view of America to be the driving force. And I hope she comes in and says, there is a chance to do something brand new here in this role. I think she should lean into the fact that she would be a gender breaking person in that role without ever saying it, but just have the attitude. The presidency is awesome. You should never be in it again. And I want to tell you what I'll do with it. I think she should use phrases like, you spend your time taking care of yourself. You did it in the White House, and I'm going to make sure I take care of the American people. I heard someone say this great line this morning. Kamala Harris, even as vice president, has gone grocery shopping. I think she should say to Donald Trump, I don't know the last time you pushed a cart through a grocery store, but I know what it's like. And I'm going to make sure that people, you know what it's like to hang around with your billionaire cronies and talk about your airplanes. I'm going to talk about what does it take to make sure that grocery cart or whatever metaphor she chooses to pick. I think she should pick that route and not be the prosecutor, not be the senator. I think she should be the populist. I know what's going on. Presidency is awesome. I'm totally prepared for this job. And then when something comes up, she can say, look, in my former life, I was a prosecutor. I know how this, like, just use that as biography and not use that as her pedigree.
Yeah. As tactic. Yeah. That's really interesting. What are the chances you think we get this?
0%, 0% chance of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think we're getting the prosecutor approach.
I do too.
Really?
I think she's gonna come in as, the hard ass who can handle the bully, wants to display a mental acuity that he lacks and Joe Biden lacked. And so I think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get, prosecutor Harris tonight. And I think that will please the anti-Trump people. I'm not sure that it will be effective in, pulling in the, whoever is undecided at this point, which just can we talk about those people for a minute?
So I did hear someone talking, the guy from the Bulwark, the guy named Sam Stein. He was on Morning Joe this morning, and he said, I have access to the interviews with undecided voters in swing states. So we've seen the polling, and I've seen sort of what they say, and it's basically this. Here's why they're undecided. They don't want to go back to Donald Trump, but they don't feel like they know Kamala Harris yet. And
those are Harris voters in the waiting.
Yeah. These are people who are like, just let me do a little due diligence. I don't want to see myself as a Democrat just jumping on the big D bandwagon. I want to tell, and we know this very well, that when people are making a behavioral change, they need an internal rationale that says to them, I'm a good person who made a good decision because of a solid set of reasons. And if she can give them that sort of like, wow. I mean, I said to my friend Casey, who I bring up a lot, we do Red Hat, Blue Hat together. I haven't done one in a while, but I said to him, if you're watching the debate tonight,
you and Casey should be doing the debate reaction show.
If you watch the debate tonight, which he said he was going to, I said, will this be the most you have ever actually heard from Kamala Harris in your life? He didn't answer. We started talking about other things that we do all the time, but I think it would be true. So I think for a lot of people, they're going to be like, I mean, I've seen a little clip here and there, but I haven't heard her talk for 3 minutes straight. Look, most Americans have not heard Kamala Harris talk for 3 minutes. So this could be what the campaign might be thinking is, look, what she needs to do is show herself to be a reliable choice. Contrast with Donald Trump. Do you want to go back to that old Crazyville, or do you want to move forward with this new candidate? And for the undecideds who are like, I really don't want to go back to Trump. I know what we're getting. I've been down that road before, but I don't know if I want to risk this. Is she can be different enough from Joe Biden, like that. So I don't know. And I think it's all going to come down to vibe and feel for these folks. I think they're going to say like, do I get it?
Oh, it always does.
Do I not get it?
I mean,
what I don't trust is
people like to tell themselves that they make political decisions based on policy in a rational way. It's not how people make political decisions. It's not. Right. There's a great book called The Political Brain, which makes the case and talks about how people make decisions of who they're going to vote for emotionally. That's the way they do. It's the way they do. They tell themselves they're making rational decisions, but they're not. They make the decision emotionally. It's about how the candidate makes them feel. And I think the, coming in with a strong, I like strong and positive. I think those would, if Kamala Harris can come across tonight as strong and positive, that will go a long way in securing her victory.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of smile, a lot of thanks for that question. I cannot wait to talk about this kind of attitude. In the interview she did, have we had a podcast since she did the sit down interview with CNN?
No,
with Tim Walz as well.
Yeah,
This is
like
what worries me.
every presidential candidate has done.
Yes.
The whole thing about she can't go without her vice president.
Right.
Every presidential candidate has done this.
Mm-hmm.
Mitt Romney and Count Chocula, Eddie Munster sitting next to him. What was it? Paul Ryan. Yeah, you ever notice the Eddie Munster thing?
Now I do. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I was only Matt Gaetz. I didn't know it was all young conservatives with a bent for the 1840s.
I mean, you go on down through the list. It's Bill Clinton and Al Gore. It has happened over and over and over and over and over again.
The problem here is that they also all have had interviews with just them, and she hasn't yet had one. But what worries me is that their team, their prep team, should walk into a room, look at the monitor of what the camera's going to look like, and say, we don't like it looking like that. Change it.
Yeah.
Do you know about a thing called a pillow that you could put under the seat of someone when there's a, I don't know, 9.5 to 12-inch height difference between people to raise one up so they're similar heights? Her sitting down in a chair while Tim Walz sat up in a chair made her, and the angle was terrible and the lighting was bad, and CNN apparently can't do anything. It's not in a studio and make it look right. Was wild to me. So this is what worries me about, do they have a vision of optics?
Yeah.
So do they have a vision of optics for her here? Have they been practicing, like, keep that lighthearted, smart, calm face with a smile ready to go? Not because she's a man or woman. Any candidate who looks relaxed and with a smile on their face and a true sense of thanks a lot. I really appreciate this. I'm really glad to be here. Some positivity, a little energy. Like that just goes so far in the visual effects that, as you say, it taps into the emotional sense for people.
And someone who can actually answer a question that's presented to them. I feel like Donald Trump is not going to directly answer a single question.
Yes.
Because that's his style. A, because he just can't stop rambling and going on these bizarre tangents. And B, because he doesn't have the policy history to back up anything. So you could ask him, what specifically are you going to do to bring down inflation? He's going to ramble about,
listen.
Something.
Doug, I know you've got a list of words that we'll talk through. I just want to put one on the table as we get started.
Okay.
Bacon. Bacon. Have you heard? Somebody needs to put together a supercut. Maybe I need to do it, of Donald Trump over the last 6 weeks or so, really since he was shot, allegedly, talking about bacon. People can't afford bacon. Bacon's so expensive. Like his go-to illustration of what people have to give up because of Bidenomics is bacon. It is so bizarre and random, and I mean it's like it's become like the the electrocuting shark story. It's just like, why is this man talking about bacon?
And is he doing it because it's can you hear that?
Bacon. Where's the bacon? Smell bacon. Gotta be bacon. Only one thing smells like bacon. That's bacon.
Remember that commercial from the 90s with the dog and the bacon bits?
Yeah.
Bacon
bites.
Bacon bites. Do you think it's because this is his way to tap into groceries are expensive? And for one, in his little brain, and it's just stuck in there on the loop, and he doesn't know the price of other things. Or he's going to be like, remember when Dr. Oz went to the grocery store and talked about making not a charcuterie board, but he called it something else? A cruditat. And how much are these items? And my wife grabs one of these and grabs one of these. Like, you haven't been grocery shopping. Get out of the grocery store. Maybe that's what it is. Look, I think they're going to ask both of them a question about flip-flopping. I think they're going to want to sound all like we're really going after Kamala Harris because when she ran, 5 years ago for the Democratic nomination, she had these opinions and now she has these policy opinions and positions, and they're going to want to call that out. And they're going to have to do it to Trump, right? They're going to have this together. And honestly, if she can have a prepared answer, way better than the nonsense that she said in that interview, which was my values haven't changed, which is just a way of saying, like, being defensive about it and just saying, look, I have changed my view on fracking. I used to think it was the best way forward. I don't think limiting fracking is the only option anymore. I think we're going to, and just say it and move on.
I was presented with new information and I no longer think that. Yeah.
And thank you for asking me that question, because I think it's really important that people know that a president like me will take in new information and will change, like, have a positive answer for the thing,
right?
Because you actually changed your view. Like, if you changed your view and you didn't want to, but you had to change your view because the administration you serve in right now had a changed view, okay, then I understand that you're going to be a little awkward. Or if you changed your view just because you want to get voters in Pennsylvania, okay. But if it's for any other reason, then thank them for the opportunity to explain why you've developed and grown and say, and my opponent over here just panders to the wind. I mean, so I hope she is so ready for that answer and or for that question with an answer that frames her as a person. I feel like every single question she's given should be, this is how someone like me responds to this policy issue or this topic, as opposed to my positions are or my values are. I mean, honest to goodness, you guys know that we talk about this all the time with candidates. Progressives care about values, and conservatives and non-committed people care about the person who's running for office. You'll hear it over and over and over. And progressives tend to think, well, let's just talk about our values rather than our policies. I think the answer is talk about you as the leader who holds a position, not the position itself via values. I just think human beings are way better with, like, I kind of like the way she talked about it, because to remind progressives, we don't live in a straight, pure democracy. We live in a, say it together, friends, a representative republic with representatives, which means we don't vote on every issue. We elect people who then cast a vote inside of a set of conditions to move policy forward. It therefore becomes the person that actually matters. And I think she should say repeatedly, leadership matters. And this guy has no business having the power of the presidency again. He's shown that and demonstrated it. And here's why I'm glad to be the president. I think she should make it about the person, Kamala Harris, in the role, because that will sway, I think, enough voters who, as we've said so many times, don't like talking about policy because it makes all of us feel dumb. This is why people don't want to talk about policy. If you think you're the policy wonk of the world, you know probably 30% of the important policy issues a president's going to face.
Yeah.
So, and frankly, if you have a policy position on every possible topic, from economic to what we should do with Homeland Security, so to what we should do with the farm aid bill, to what we should be doing with international interventions. If you've got a policy position on all those, well, God bless you. You know what most people are like? I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope
most people are like,
decisions.
Is bacon more expensive than it used to be? I don't remember how much bacon used to cost. No, is this more expensive? Maybe we better check the turkey bacon.
Okay, here's my words I think are going to. Oh, sorry, Dan. Do you want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say I feel like Trump is going to go after Harris on immigration and the Afghanistan withdrawal. I don't know what do you guys think is Harris's best response to those? I'm worried she's going to get defensive and it's not going to be a great tact. Or what?
Yeah. I think she's shown already that the approach that she wants to take on immigration is Donald Trump killed the bipartisan immigration bill that was the toughest, most comprehensive bill, and a blah, 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 blah. And when I'm president, I'll sign that bill. And she turns it back on him. I think that's, and I think something, I could see something similar happen, with the Afghanistan conversation as well. Say something like, listen, this happened because of what you did in Afghanistan when you were president. Yeah, so I think she tries to turn the negatives back on him with those.
12 of 20 years, Republicans were in charge of the White House and the military during of the Afghanistan occupation. Donald Trump gave away the future of America's role by negotiating with the Taliban. We had to clean it up. And no one expected the government in Kabul to fall as fast as it did. That was a huge intelligence and administrative error, and we would do it different next time. But Donald Trump's willingness to surrender to the Taliban is what got us in this situation. And I'm so glad that he came to his common sense and didn't negotiate that deal on September 11th, 2021, like he said he was going to do at Camp David.
Yeah.
She just lays that egg right out there because they're getting ready for that. Like they're testing that stuff. They're floating it but that even that you are into a level of nerdery. I mean, I know we thought, boy, this could really define the Biden administration. It hasn't really. It never comes up unless a Republican is trying to say you don't care about the military or something. Like it feels so long ago. So I hope she can say something like that and put it back on him and call him a person who surrendered over to the Taliban, and then they've had to clean it up.
Yeah.
And I think on the border, you're right. She's going to say, I will sign that bill, and that bill is terrible, by the way.
Right.
Who care about the border? That we don't need a tougher bill on the border. We need a more supported border structure.
Yes, we understand that, but that's not what she's going to say. Right. She's going to talk about how we need a tougher bill.
Yeah, she most definitely will. And it really is a problem that she hasn't been to the border more often than she has. She has since been there, but that is a problem. But again, she's going to be able to say to Donald Trump, there was a solution on the table. We tried to move forward on it. You shut it down because you're using this as a political issue because
Yep.
And then you should say, and we spend our time in this administration getting things done. And when I'm president, here's what I'm going to do. And I just think she should pivot nearly every answer into, and when I'm president, here's what we're going to do.
Yep.
In the last 15 or 20 seconds, each and every time, making people feel comfortable with one of the things Donald Trump does well, and he's been trained up in the power of positive thinking, literally Norman Vincent Peale stuff. And when you know what he's doing, you hear him do it all the time. He just simply says the thing that he wants you to imagine. So he conjures it up as a statement of fact. So if she can say something like, when I'm president, as your president, here's what I'm going to do. That just starts to make people feel like, oh, she's going to be president, right? Like there's just some things in communication like this that I think she should be using that she shouldn't use on the trail, right? She shouldn't use it at campaign events and everything. But in a debate, when you're standing with this other person, she's going to want to make the future that in which she's the president, the thing that people are thinking about, not the past when this joker was the president. Yeah. Other than bringing up, him losing the election and then sending a horde of protesters turned rioters into the Capitol building.
Yeah.
I hope she does.
Yeah. Hit us with a list of words, Doug.
Let's do some over-unders, and in 12 hours or whatever, when we're talking about this, we can see how many times they came up. I'm going to try to keep track of the words old from Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. Same old story. I think she's going to try to utilize the word old whenever she can. Old and tired, maybe even something like that. I think she's also going to use the word small a lot. old and small. So I'm keeping an eye out for those words.
She gonna do the hand thing like Barack Obama?
And then some version of not going back, change from the past, those words and phrases. How many times is it going to be? Not going back, change in the future, new way of moving forward. That's kind of all one thought. She's going to talk about old and she's going to talk about small. And I think if she does that, it's going to drive him out of his mind. He will spend his 2 minutes saying, well, what she said is not true. I'm not, I don't think she's even going to say the weird thing. I think she's going to let that be insider conversation. She's just going to make him look weird by using old, small, and not going back to that.
I agree with you. I think that the weird thing works really, really well when coming from Tim Laws.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she should leave it to him. And it just, but I love the idea of her just getting under his skin with old and small. And and I think you're absolutely right that he is distractible. He is, you can get him off point. You can get him off, off his game. And I think that is where the prosecutorial approach, might serve her well.
Yeah, she could say things like, Donald Trump's old story about blah, blah, is not where we're going. And then she spends the next minute and 30 seconds describing what she wants. And then when I'm president, he will spend that rest of that 2 minutes after she says stuff about his old, tired, sad, sorrowful, backward looking. He'll spend his whole time thinking about that and not thinking about the other stuff she's saying. So when it comes back to him for a rebuttal, he'll just be all like, well, I could carry I won the golf tournament. Just all that stuff that is right there on the surface for this guy, this kind of feeling of fragility that he has.
It's just such a fragile ego.
Yes.
That's just on the verge of breaking at all times.
And that's where she cannot get defensive. I do like what Marcella says in the chat here, that she needs to be civil, but not overly nice, a spine of steel, that kind of thing. And that can come from a couple of places. That can come from a real sense of confidence. And there's times where I've heard Kamala Harris be extremely confident and have a strength that comes from this kind of real sense that she knows what she's up to on this topic. And those are the things she should just lean in on and demonstrate that to the American people. And then watch Donald Trump, to borrow a phrase from Josh Shapiro, watch Donald Trump shit talk America. And I think she should have a line in her pocket that's just like, it's really hard to stand here and hear someone who wants to be president speak so lowly of America. I believe in America. And she should, and also another, I want to be a debate coach so bad for this. Talk to the American people. Don't talk to the moderator.
Yes.
In your tone, in your mind,
Absolutely.
Picture those people sitting there. You're not talking to that. No one thinks you're talking to the moderator. We forgot the moderator was there. I thought you were talking to me. So look at that camera and say things that the American people are hearing, not like, did I answer your question, moderator? Did you get everything you needed out of me on this? Like, that's not your pitch. Your pitch is to say they'll have some total. Okay, they're on for an hour and a half. So that's 90 minutes. There's 6 minutes for each thing. So there's 30 topics, probably less with some breaks, or 20 topics, something like that. Have 20 times where you're addressing the American people on these topics that matter to them. You're not answering the moderator.
You pointed out contrasting with Trump's, just like he's been on this "we're a failed state" thing. Yes. The United States is a failed state, and just rails on how awful America is.
Yeah.
I'm like, who likes to listen to this? Who actually thinks it? Like, we drive all over the country, and it's not a failed country.
Nope. Not a failed state.
Yeah.
Nope. It's a great place.
Living their lives, creating beautiful things in this
Yep.
country. The American spirit is alive and well, and that's what Kamala Harris should tap into.
Yes, Dan. That's exactly it. She should tap into that. Just hearty, like, it is so good to love America as we build America. The other thing she should say, and I think this would be just cute as can be, if she just leans in with that way Kamala Harris does and says, "Hey, friends, sorry about all the orange cones. We're busy rebuilding America, and we know it slowed up some of your commute. But, we're doing our best." If she were to lean into that kind of thing, like, hey, we know what it's like to be an American person that doesn't have a motorcade. You get backed up. Look at all that street work going on, and thank a street worker. Thank someone who's fixing your roads, putting in broad. Like, she shouldn't say, since the
infrastructure act
of these things, she should say, hey, when you're out there and you see those people digging up your roads, thank them for their work. Yeah. And you can also thank the Biden-Harris administration for the money to do that work, because Donald Trump not only did he not get it done, he didn't want to get it done. And we did. Thank a worker when you see him. Like, turn this thing into the human experience. I just hope she is queued up on this. I trust the Harris campaign. They're good people, but also they're politicos from the progressive side. And what they think people want to hear is a list of accomplishments that you've made that then have translated into money being well spent. Again, what people like? The roads to be fixed.
Yeah. And we talk a lot about making the American people the hero of the story rather than the candidate. And I think this is a great opportunity to do that. Like,
I heard someone say one time, he's in sales and he's like, look, here's what happened. He said, I was trying to buy, my air conditioner went out. So I called an air conditioner company and they came out to my house. And he said, and the guy stood there and explained to me about how the air conditioners work, how many watts and how much power they take, how fast they can cool, and why this product made in this part of the country is better than this one, and then gave me a choice between these. He said, and what I'm standing there thinking is, I didn't want to buy an air conditioner. What I wanted was cold air in my house.
Yes.
What I thought I was doing by calling you was saying, can you make the air in my house cooler? The salesman stood there and explained the thing that mattered to him, which was how efficient and where an air conditioner was made. I don't care about my air conditioner. I care about the cold air. This is an important thing for Kamala Harris tonight.
Yes.
People don't care about the act, or whether it's the CHIPS Act or the Inflation Reduction Act or the Infrastructure Act. They care about, are your roads getting done? Do you have broadband? Are we going to be able to bring down the cost of prescription? Like, the outcome for people is what they care about. And I just hope she spends her time pitching that version of America and not how do you get those things? Because certain politicos love that stuff. We might really love that.
And
not every day.
Like, it matters. The Biden administration has done a long list of great things, but at the end of the day, for the average person, Harris is going to have an uphill climb on inflation and grocery prices, because those are the dinner table conversations.
In the sales world, we have a phrase that facts tell, but stories sell. And I dug what you're describing of the, hey, listen, I know, like, your commute's a little longer because of the orange cones, but we're rebuilding America. That's a story. That connects with people, as opposed to, because of the Infrastructure Act, we've spent blah 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 millions of blah blah billions of blah 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 blah.
Honest to goodness, if she uses the phrase orange cones tonight, I'm going to just get up and dance. Because we're people that travel around the country, like a lot of people have, whether you've traveled state to state or just across your city. Everywhere we go, it is just fluorescent orange cones.
Yes. And here's the thing.
So many.
Should have bought stock in the Orange Cone Company.
Yeah, that's right. And here's the thing. People hate traffic. People hate construction. Like, you're banking your whole thing, infrastructure, which is just a fancy word for traffic.
Yes.
And like, I mean, like people want the end result, but man, they hate the process of it coming about. And so like, I love this advice. Can we get somebody on the phone from the debate prep?
Yeah. Well, they watch this. They watch.
They're dialed in. Yeah,
they're dialed in.
Yeah, I mean, live streaming right now.
You know what it does make me think though, in our rally events, I'm going to create a little bit about the orange cone since we have those collapsible orange cones.
Yep.
I think we're going to work a little bit about that. Pop that thing up. And then
and you know what people hate more than construction? Massive potholes and
terrible roads,
bridges that fall into the oceans and rivers.
Yeah. As a Minneapolitan, someone from Minneapolis, we would prefer a road construction than the bridge collapse.
Yeah.
This was a place where a bridge collapsed, if people have forgotten.
Yeah.
All right. Hey,
yeah. Did you want to go to the Harris website and check some things out?
Oh my goodness. Why are we going to the Harris website?
Well, because they released on Sunday a series of policy statements.
Oh.
Something's happening on my camera. Oh,
yeah. So this is a non-exhaustive list from the Harris website. Cut taxes for middle-class families, make rent more affordable, grow small business and invest in entrepreneurs, take on bad actors and bring down costs, strengthen and bring down cost of health care, protect and strengthen Social Security, support American innovation and workers. Anything that isn't typically found on the Democrat platform?
Yeah, what's interesting here is there's not a lot of the like social struggle, social justice kinds of things. It's not being pitched in that kind of way. It's being pitched in really kind of the lived experience of all people.
This is well, okay. So, sorry. I'm like, these are all economic things. And then I realized this is build an opportunity economy and lower costs for families. And then there's a safeguard fundamental freedoms section. There's an ensure safety and justice for all, keep America safe, secure, and prosperous. So, yeah. So some of those other social or some of the social or kind of domestic issue types of things are mentioned later.
Yeah, different sections.
But they're not really there in the way that other campaigns would have highlighted them. They are more measured in. I mean, when they're in there talking about freedom, and of course this is genius because it's true, to talk about gun safety as an issue of freedom.
Yeah.
Yep.
You should have the freedom for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our children should not have to learn how to duck and cover, and teachers should not have to learn how to barricade rooms because we can't do something about the access to guns. Like, that is such a different way of approaching this. And it feels right to America. I just think Kamala Harris's team is right where most Americans are. Now, I know it's not where the fever dream, hard right, JD Vance, immigrants are eating your cats crowd is. but it is where most American people are. And I think she can hit those tunes. And when she starts talking about American freedom, and when she starts talking about pride in America, and which I think she's going to do, it's going to be something extremely, extremely powerful. And I know she's going to lean into reproductive rights. And I hope she says things like Jim puts in the chat that says, look, and I know there's some people who disagree with me on this, but I'm still asking for your vote. I hope she names it and claims it, right? Name that people disagree with her, and then say, and I want you in my campaign, and I want you to vote for me. I mean, basically, you've got two pro-choice candidates up here. Why don't you pick me? That would be a great line, because Donald Trump has wavered so severely on this. And now Franklin Graham, by the way, is out saying he doesn't care that Donald Trump has said he wants women to have more than 6 weeks before they have their abortion in Florida. And then wants IVF to be funded by the federal government, which to the hard right, anti people.
Or he wants to force insurance companies to pay for IVF. Yeah. He wants to use the power of the federal government to force private companies to act to spend money and to cover certain things. Listen, you can't do that.
Again, to the hard right, creates a fertilized egg before implantation, and to them, that is a conceived human being.
Yep.
And to stop the fertilization of that egg is tantamount to ending a human life, they believe. Mm-hmm. So you cannot, just to be clear for people that are in the conversation with families and friends that say they're pro-life, if you're really in the life begins at conception, which is just a talking point, you cannot accept IVF as an option.
Yep. Because it means that there are millions and millions and millions of human lives, human souls frozen in medical facilities all over the country.
And
then they are disposed of.
Yes.
Just thrown away.
And if you think we're just out of our minds, no, this is why they're also wanting to ban certain kinds of contraception, like the kinds of contraception that happens after fertilization of the egg within those minutes. Yep. This is the kind of things why they oppose it, which is why when every member of Congress has been asked, will you support the Right to Contraception Act? Nearly every Republican has said no because of this issue. So this is the kind of thing that in the hard right anti-abortion world, they know that what Donald Trump says about supporting IVF is giving up the ground they have been thinking they're working so hard for. They want to ban IVF, just like the Catholic Church official theology doesn't support IVF for these very reasons. So, okay. How she's going to handle abortion tonight, I'm not sure, but I think she can talk about freedom and about rights being taken away.
Yeah.
And saying, Donald Trump, you did this. And then when Donald Trump has to say, I just wanted to return it to the states, then she can say, well, why did you want states to do this thing? Don't you want to protect the rights of all Americans equally? I think she should go down that route and really attack the Roe versus Wade, we're against Roe versus Wade argument at its core, which is, this kind of thing can't really be a states' rights issue.
Right.
It needs to be, we need to have consistency nationwide. She should make that argument, and then she should say, Donald Trump, will you support what's happening in Idaho to be the standard for America?
Yep.
And then he will say that in Minnesota, like he said in another interview, in Minnesota, you can execute the baby after birth, which is so fundamentally cruel, insane, and wrong, but he will probably say it again. And if she doesn't pivot on him, or if the moderators don't pivot on him, then, they're just willing to give Donald Trump a pass on all the stuff because he believes it to some level of degree in order to keep saying it. It's just,
just wild. I don't think that issue is enough to get Republicans away from Trump. They're okay with that little bit of moral inconsistency. But I think January 6th still bothers a lot of Republicans. And we've seen just a growing number of Republicans endorsing Kamala Harris. Not just saying, I wish Trump wasn't the nominee again. Full on saying, I am going to vote for a Democrat in the election because Donald Trump is such a disaster.
Yes. And I'll just say something about this headline and photo. All of these people that are on here, Liz Cheney, that person on the right, that former Duncan or whatever that guy's name is, they're all very fine looking people, and not one of them in this photo. It is just an unfortunate collage of photos. I don't know who the guy on the left is making the gun signal to, but anyway, yeah, they're great people. You know what I was surprised to see on this list? I don't know if you guys had a chance to read through the long list of not very prominent Republicans that are willing to say I'm voting for Harris. That Walsh guy, Joe Walsh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The guy who yelled out, "You lie." That's that guy, right?
Is it?
Joe Walsh, the one who yelled during Obama's? There's an article.
He's been hardcore anti-Trump for a number of years now.
No. It was Joe Wilson.
Oh, Joe Wilson.
Not Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh was a former conservative radio talk show host who got elected to Congress and then ran for president and has been a very strong never Trumper.
Well, boy, that was a disappointment because he was in 2016 in the article. He has this tweet in in fall of 2016 saying, on November 8th, I'm voting for Donald Trump. And if on November 9th he hasn't won, I'm getting my musket. Who else is in?
Yeah, he was hardcore in 2016 for Trump and then became hardcore never Trump.
Boy, I thought it was that Joe Wilson. That's disappointing. I had a whole story.
Had a whole bit worked out.
A whole bit I was working on about that. Has anybody reached out to Joe Wilson? I wonder if we could get him to come around the corner. Such a thing.
But here's the thing. I've talked to...
So I really need the guy.
I've talked to a handful of maybe not undecided, maybe more I wish I didn't have to vote for Trump people. And I've presented them with portions of this list. Like, hey, what do you think about Dick Cheney endorsing Kamala Harris? And it just does not faze them. Like, well, I don't get my...
Yeah.
I don't take my marching orders from Dick Cheney. And so I think it's stunning. I don't remember another election where this many people from a party has endorsed the opposite party for an election. I think that's historic and wild, but it doesn't seem to influence other voters in the way I thought it would.
Well, yeah, or does it? Right. So here's the curious question: if this is all the start of a whole campaign in the fall here, that maybe Liz Cheney and others are behind. Like, Liz Cheney is a calculating human being. She's not accidentally saying things in public. Her and her dad rolled out, how are they going to say this? When are they going to do it? So they did it with Mark Leibovich at that event in Austin, Texas, at a liberal school. Or I heard Mark Leibovich, he was the guy interviewing Cheney when she said, I'm going to be voting for Kamala Harris. And he said, we were at this university at Austin, Texas, and the line to get in was blocks long because Liz Cheney is a rock star among the liberal young people in Texas. Okay, so is this the beginning of something where they know there's going to be a series of more high-profile Republicans that over time keep coming, and they're going to build, a cascade kind of vibe to this? And is it possible that the kinds of people that you're mentioning, Dan, the people we talk to a lot, and I've spoken to them, lots of my friends and family members too, about this, and I've said, well, like, you could just be like Mike Pence, or you could be like Mitt Romney, or you could be like Paul Ryan, the last three Republicans who either ran as vice president or president. They are not voting for Donald Trump. You could just be like them. No, I don't take my marching orders. Or you could be like Liz Cheney or Dick Cheney, pretty solid social conservatives and Republicans. No, I don't take my marching orders. But does it subtly start to become part of, maybe if I feel like I'm not a true Republican for turning my back on Trump or for voting for Harris, maybe I am. Maybe it's possible I could be. Like, is it just possible that can be in there, that it takes 7, whatever it is, the 7 invitations for someone, like all this stuff, right? So
we talk a lot about permission structure and giving people permission to do something. And if they're not the first ones to have to jump ship and give up their Republican card by not voting for Trump, then it becomes a lot easier to do that.
Yep. Looking at you, George W. Bush.
Yeah, you talk to anybody who's made a change politically or just do something different, or, whatever the change is. And you say to them, like, well, how did you end up starting to do this? You started something or you stopped something, right? And when they really tell the story, it will usually include something like, well, it had been coming up for a while. I had been sort of noodling around on it. I've been thinking about it, or I had a reason why I didn't like you get into the ethnographic narratives of how people ended up making a change.
And you then I met this person, and then,
and it's been around for a while. And there are so many people, like, look, again, somebody who is hardwired into Trump and they're a Trumper, as Jesus taught to his disciples. Sometimes you just shake the dust off your feet and don't disturb people that shouldn't be disturbed. Just fine. Just let them be. And they don't have a problem that they're looking for some input on responding to the problem. But boy, Donald Trump currently polls at about 70% of Republicans, not just 70% of evangelicals, about 70% of Republicans. He needs that number to jump up to about 80 or 85% of both evangelicals and Republicans. So there's a whole bunch of people that are just like, the guy, but I might go back to him 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And now I say all that for the few people still listening who are in conversations with family, friends, coworkers, neighbors, and others. You might be the first conversation they're having, or you might be the final one they're having, or somewhere in between before they make the switch, because that's how we all do it. This is why advertising is the way that it is. This is why any social movement is the way it is. This is why behavioral change projects want to keep inviting. And honestly, when we do this thing, like, well, I asked them and they said no. Like, what's that? I mean, Rob, you've talked about being in sales and, you're a sales professional. Like, you go into sales, and because a potential client says no to you once, you're not like, well, I'm not going back there again. You're like, hey, maybe I could check back in with you.
Or as my Calvinist professor used to say, we need to just keep running the election test on them. Just because they failed it once doesn't mean they're always going to fail it.
Oh, wow.
Keep running the election
test. They are
test.
electing. They mean, are they elected?
Yes. Run the election test on them.
Wow.
Why do Calvinists care about that? Do they feel like someone who is already chosen to be in the elect of God's saved could have a much better life if they knew about it, and they're trying to help them just live into the reality that already exists?
Get there sooner.
Like that commercial on your life insurance policy where the guys are underground saying they don't even know they're living on a gold mine. Like that, like somebody has a benefit. Why do Calvinists like that care if someone recognizes their salvific state? That wasn't rhetorical. That was just the question.
I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm glad they are, right? I don't know. I guess it's fine. It's fine. It's just...
It's not fine. It's terrible theology.
Who thinks the God of the universe is picking some people over other people?
Calvinists.
John Calvin specifically. And they're always on the picked team. Isn't that
always? Just once I want to meet a Calvinist that's like, look.
Oh, no.
I believe in gravity. I believe in limited atonement. I believe in the
no, you don't want to. No, you don't want to meet a Calvinist who is convinced that he is not elect. That is a person who is deeply emotionally and mentally in a bad place.
Yeah, that would do a number on you.
I knew one in college. It was not good.
Really? I feel like it would be way better than the crowd who thinks that they're not Calvinists. And for people who don't know what that means, it means a lot of things. But part of what we're talking about now is that God chooses who's going to be saved. Not a person's behavior has nothing to do with it. They're chosen or not chosen, and then they can live into that or not live into it. But the other version is people who are like, you kind of got to earn a little bit of God's favor. Do the right thing or be the right way, and then God will love you. Like, it's unconditional love as long as you meet the basic conditions. Those folks, that seems more tormenting to me. Someone who's like, I'm just out here making my way in the world,
trying to get God to love me,
taking everything I got.
I'm just a girl standing before a deity, asking him to love her.
Is that a song lyric?
It's a line from Notting Hill movie. Julia Roberts standing in front of Hugh Grant.
In front of Hugh
Just
Grant.
a girl standing in front of a boy, asking him to love her.
Yeah. Like that, just a girl standing before a benevolent deity that I'm trying to have to convince that I'm good enough if I did the right. Like that's even more of a mind than I can imagine being a Calvinist who thinks, I don't know. Some people have blue eyes, some people have brown eyes. I got brown eyes. Whoops.
Yeah, I'm going to hell.
See, I was always worried that there's this line in the Bible about the unforgivable sin.
Oh yeah.
Blasphemy of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was specifically, so I was constantly worried I would accidentally
commit the unforgivable sin,
the Holy Spirit, and just end up in hell.
Yeah. You probably have.
Yeah.
Sure you did.
There's a good chance in the last 40 years.
Yeah, a couple of Thursdays ago when we were in
sure you did.
I liked what it was called when I was first into Christianity. They referred to it as the unpardonable sin. It seemed to even have more gravitas than unforgivable. Like somehow, it's unpardonable.
Oh,
it was really. Is there a pardon board? Is there this and this? It's really official. And then not really sure what it is. And by God, I mean, the people I was around would fixate on that set of words.
Yeah.
In a literalist way, and the love your enemy and bless those who persecute you was like, well, yeah,
that's more.
Don't get too. That wasn't for everybody. But this one fewer half phrase that probably meant the way forgiveness works is that if you speak against forgiveness, you can never access it, and that's why it's a playful use of the term forgiveness. Probably. But boy, it gets just turned into literal, like, no, there's a thing you would do. And then once you do that, it's like, you didn't sign the user agreement. We can't move forward on fixing your bus vehicle because you didn't give us authorization to act on it. What are we going to do? God of the universe just stuck. Was that illustration a little too on point for the people at Gator in Milwaukee, Iowa? And if anyone knows them, because this afternoon, if that thing is not done, there's going to be a campaign with a phone number that just says, start calling this phone number and asking if the bus is done.
That would be amazing.
1,000 phone calls.
Our email list of thousands of people.
Call this number and ask them if the bus is done. Ask to speak to Jake. Jake, we need the bus. Jake, we need the bus.
Because our bus may or may not be in a repair shop in Iowa right now.
May or may not. Can't speak. It may or may not be in an undisclosed Dick Cheney-like location. Boy, he looks old too, didn't he? Did you guys see the photos of Dick Cheney recently? Speaking out, like, I mean, I know we all look old,
I feel
but he looks
always
like
looked old.
baby old. Yeah, he looks like you know how like 4-day-old little baby boys look like 87-year-old.
Benjamin Button,
newborn baby old. That's great.
Okay, so tonight after it's on at 8:00 Central Time.
Is it 8:00?
9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
Yeah,
somewhere in the Mountain Time. I can't figure that out. 7
got
Mountain.
Got a 7:15 soccer game. That's
good.
I'll have to watch the first part on my phone, I guess.
Well, it's at 8:00 Central Time.
Yeah, the soccer game goes for an hour.
What? Is this kids?
Yeah.
Are these adult kids you're watching, or are they?
No,
little
9-year-old girls.
Actual children.
Yeah.
And one of them is yours, right? You're not just out watching children play games.
Yes, one of them is mine.
I used to do that when I was a dad. You'd be at a game or something, and people would be like, "So which one's your son?" I'd say, like, "No, I don't have a son here. I just like to watch." Yeah.
They just slow.
Oh, you can't not joke. You can't not smile and say, "I'm just kidding." He's on first base. Very long, because it takes no time for someone to be uncomfortable with a middle-aged man just hanging around a baseball field. That's funny. Yeah. So anyway, we'll be back somewhere around 9:30 if you want to be with your favorite commentators on this. And honestly, I'm now prepared for it to go terribly. I am girding myself that it'll be like, okay, we've got some cleanup to do, cleanup on aisle 47 could be a real.
It can't go worse than the last one did. It
No.
can't.
No,
Absolutely
I'm not
cannot,
comparing it.
so.
Yes. No, that is no. Yes.
Only up from here.
If she strokes out, it couldn't be worse than that. Is it not? Is it not? Is it on the spectrum of how good it could be? With that being, it couldn't be this bad. Which is it closer to? It needs to be closer to it was great. Then, well, she didn't hurt herself. Look, if the political commentators say stuff like you said after that interview, which is, well, she did what she needed to do. If that phrase is being used,
yeah,
because to all of us, it makes total sense that the country is going to rally in the states that matter most, and more people are going to vote in those states for Kamala Harris than Donald Trump. That's also not guaranteed to happen.
It needs to just be a home run, though.
Yes.
She needs to knock it out of the park, and this election needs to be just a final nail in the coffin of the MAGA movement.
Yes.
Really send a message.
Bury it. Look, if Joe Biden, I felt like had softball pitch after softball pitch thrown over the plate from what Donald Trump was saying in the first debate. He didn't swing at any of them.
Yeah.
I think Kamala Harris, if he says the stuff he said to Biden, she will treat that as batting practice. Yeah. I think we'll just rip those things all over spray them around the field. Baseball analogy. Spray it around the field. And Biden couldn't do it. Didn't want to do it. Didn't do it. Whatever. Whatever it is. Didn't want to, but just simply didn't do it. I think she will be prepared to knock those things out of the.
Yeah, but says, I predict that Kamala will not bring up her golf handicap.
Oh, see, I kind of think that would be hilarious if she just like opened with that.
Be a great callback.
Just in case anybody was wondering.
Yeah. Yeah. Just mock him for it. Just mock him for it. Well, look, and if she doesn't play golf, which I don't know if she does, can you ask ChatGPT that? Rob, can you do it right now, like on your phone, so we can hear the answer? Yeah. If she doesn't play golf, she will be the first president since the 1960s to not be playing golf.
I would love that.
I am a golfer. I think highly of golf. It's a fabulous.
I'm a non-golfer, and I think it's elitist. There, I said
super elitist. That's why I love it.
But I was literally just could never afford to go get golf clubs and go golfing. Like,
because you spent your time skiing, I'm sure.
That's it. Yeah.
Or because you were busy being a hockey player. Polo or the other sports. Yeah, you were. You're equestrian. You're equestrian trained.
Equestrian regimen just wouldn't allow it.
Yeah. What'd you find out, Rob? Can ChatGPT tell us?
It does not appear that she's a golfer.
Really? Doesn't it say something? Doesn't ChatGPT read it to you out loud? No. Doesn't read it. Hey Siri, does Kamala Harris play golf?
I want to hear it out loud.
Here's some websites you can go to.
Yes.
Kamala Harris has never broken 80 in a round of golf. Kamala Harris playing golf on TikTok.
I looked at that link. It doesn't have anything. It's not actually. No, it's not.
Okay. Well, it'd be great. It'd be great if she said, I love golfers. My husband's a golfer. I think it's great.
I mean, a great line would be like, hey, I'm too busy getting stuff done to spend 180 days at the golf course while I'm president.
When I'm in the White House, I won't spend next number of days golfing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we'll find out. We'll find out tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, and campaign, if you need us for the next debate in 2028, let us know. We're ready for you.
Is this the only debate? Is there going to be a follow-up debate?
It's the only one currently scheduled, unless they decide together they want to do another debate. This is it.
Yep.
Yeah. So Harris has to. This is her big opportunity to introduce herself to a lot more Americans. So. Got to nail it. No pressure, though.
Yep. You guys remember when Carrie Strug was being told that the Olympics, that winning the gold was on her back, and she had torn the ligaments in her ankle, and her abusive coach said to her, if you don't land this thing, we're not going to win the gold. Or they thought that was the case because somehow gymnastics is an extremely complicated scoring system. It's more than how much time is left in a soccer match or a football match in England. Nobody knows.
You never
A guy's got to watch, and he's going to add some time. So he said to her, you have to do this. It turned out she didn't. But I almost get emotional now. I probably brought this up in the podcast. Her running down that little runway to that horse, jumping off that thing, spinning, sticking that thing, and then lifting her foot up and her foot shaking. I mean, it was just incredible feat, and also a terrible thing to put a teenager through after a lifetime of emotional control. But the athletics, the athletic nature of it was incredible. That's what I'm picturing Kamala Harris doing tonight.
Yeah, just going to rise to the occasion.
Well, we're going to see, and we'll talk about it later.
And we'll probably play that video.
All right, we'll see.